Um, I would probably say my first visit to Clemson when I came into to the spring game, and a lot of people was just I just saw like a bunch of different stuff going on, talking about just a different rivalry, just trying to learn a lot about the school, and then after my first visit to Clemson, I took a visit to South Carolina. Mind you, now it's a little bit different down there. I would say they fans take it a little bit differently than how ours do. Obviously none of us like each other, but both our fans, we have a two very different fan bases. And when I went down there, like I went to Waffle House, and some guy walked in the Waffle House in Columbia with a Clemson shirt on, and all next thing I know, I see people like trying to fight him and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, well, what's going on here with that? But yeah, man, it's real. It's really real down here. I didn't notice that when I first came to Clemson, but now I understand like why people take it so seriously now. Definitely.
Has your perception hasn't changed since then?
No, it hasn't changed. I don't really get affected by it. Obviously, I take it personal just because it's a very chippy game. Just off my experience last year, and just seeing some of the things that their coaching staff had to say about us last year and stuff like that. And you hear a lot of the talk that goes on from sideline to sideline. So it has my perspective. It hasn't really changed because at the end of the day, you got to go out there and play. But you do enjoy kind of the whole vibe you get from the game because it kind of gets you amped up just to play more.
Were you there 2 years ago? I know you were redshirted. Were you on the sidelines during some of the redshirts?
I was me, Tanner, Muse, and Denzel. We rode up to that game, and I just remember being on that field, watching, just kind of how that whole atmosphere was, and just kind of seeing like some of the fans like throwing stuff at our sideline and stuff like that. And but it was a really really good game because that was a really really close game 2 years ago, and. A lot of people say they should have won that game, but hopefully, this year going back there and playing in a great atmosphere like they have, we get a chance to, kind of just kind of put this one to bed.
How do you rank their fan base, just that stuff? How do you rank them compared to other road games?
Oh, they pretty high up there, man. I mean, I wouldn't say they not better than ours, but they got a pretty great atmosphere. They love their Gamecocks. I can't lie. It's really cool. They playing that same old song, waving them towels around. I never been to a night game there, but I mean, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a great atmosphere to play in.
So it sounds like from what you're saying that maybe their fans, you feel like their fans take it a little too far, a little bit more hostile than your fan base.
From what I've seen, I've seen them take it a little bit too far. Obviously I haven't played in a home game there, but my redshirt year we went up there, they were kind of throwing stuff at us on the sidelines, and when we walked into the tunnel, they was kind of throwing stuff at just me seeing stuff, just different stuff that I see. So I mean, but fans do that everywhere. It was just kind of my first experience with that. I didn't really understand how serious the rivalry was, but when I saw that, it was kind of more so like, okay, well, yeah, like it's a really heated battle right now.
So what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear South Carolina or Gamecocks?
I just think about Coach Sweeney talking about how so when they had that they beat us 5 years in a row. Coach Sweeney sometimes would like take pictures with different South Carolina fans just because they would come up to him and ask for pictures, and a lot of times they would be in the picture doing this, but he didn't know what that had meant. So when he had told me that story, I just like, and then somebody had finally told him what it meant, and that really like just kind of he was like, dang, like I didn't know that was going on. That was kind of funny to me. So I kind of think about that, but I mean, I don't really get into the whole thing of rivalries because that when you a player, that shouldn't affect you. That shouldn't be the reason why you play just because it's a heated rivalry, and that shouldn't be your motivation behind playing. It should just be wanting to go out there and play your best for your team and stuff like that.
You said last year was a little chippy. Any story from the game last year that is shareable?
Just a lot of trash talk going on, just a whole lot of pushing out the plays and stuff like that. Obviously we had the upper hand last year because we played one of our best games of the year against them, and obviously they were very heated about how they were playing, and obviously a lot of the talk was that we only played so well because of Deshaun and things like that, but it was just a very very intense game going on. Not even just because it was close at first, but more so just because the whole entire game because they were mad about how they were playing last year.
What have you seen from their offense on film?
They have a very. I know about. I haven't watched the whole entirety of the offense, obviously Bentley's a very, very good player. This is probably the best, probably the best group of receivers that we've seen so far this year. They're very, very good. They might be young, but they have a lot of really good players on it. The offensive line is really, really good. They have one of the best offensive line coaches, in the country, and those guys gonna come ready to play. Very tough, very, very technically sound, and they're very passionate. And that's what I like to see. Those guys, when they score touchdowns, they getting hyped up behind them. They kind of like drive. They kind of like the motor of that offense. So it's gonna be a really, really tough battle for us. But we just got to go in and put the work in. And if we do that, we know our best is. We feel like our best is better than anybody else's best. So I feel like we'll come out with the win.
Sorry, those comments Bentley had last summer saying that, last year they were just as close talent-wise as you guys were. Did that get back to you guys? And your thoughts on those comments when you said them last summer?
I mean, yeah, we here to talk. I mean, we don't really listen to it. Obviously, he's a competitor, so he's gonna think that his team is just as good as ours, or just as good as any team they play, and they can compete, which you should. So obviously you can't really get into that. It's more so just about what you do on the field and when you go out there and show it. Last year they didn't really put on the performance that they wanted to. So hopefully we definitely know that at home this year, night game, last game of the season for them. They definitely gonna want to come out and kind of put this one to bed and really show them that last year they feel like last year was kind of a mistake on their part. So we got to come out and be ready to play.
I know they said never again was kind of their mindset after last year. Your thoughts on that and after the way last year's game?
I mean, never again. I don't really have too many thoughts on that. I mean, it's gonna be up to us on if that is true or not. You know what I mean? So really, we just got to go out there and not really worry about what they got to say, because we know at the end of the day, it's about going out there, players making plays, and who can go out there and be the most physically tough team out there. So we just gonna have to see on Saturday.
Is there any more pressure on you guys, do you feel, even though this is such a huge game on both sides, the fact that this is their biggest game of the year? You guys have a lot bigger hopes and dreams in mind past this game. Does that affect anything at all?
No, it doesn't affect us, because we know we're taking it one game at a time. People talk about this. We have a lot of things, in the future for us as far as like the ACC championship, and a lot of people talk about the college football playoff. But this is the biggest game of the year for us. This is another step on our of accomplishing our goals, which is winning the state championship. And if people think this ain't a big game, as far as if we don't take it just as serious as South Carolina does, then let us lose this game, and people really understand how big of a game it is. So we really focus on this game, man. I'm really excited for it. It's gonna be a great matchup. A lot of good players on both sides of the ball. Obviously a great atmosphere to play in down there in Columbia, and we just gonna have to go out there and put on a great performance, because if we don't, we will get beat, because they're good enough to beat us.
Regardless of the Miami outcome, do you feel like if you lose the South Carolina game that your playoff hopes are done?
I mean, that's not something that I think about. I can only control what I can control, man. So really just focusing on one game at a time. I don't really worry about the playoff. I know that if we take care of business and we win the next game and we focus on the next game, then we'll be where we want to be at the end of the season. So, I don't really get too worried about that stuff. A lot of it varies and things like that, so I can't really focus on that.
Clelin, how much does you guys succeeding in big road games like Louisville and Virginia Tech and NC State this year help going into this?
Man, it's huge, man, because this really just shows how battle tested we are, man. That was a really big question for us coming into the season. Can we go on the road into a hostile environment like a Virginia Tech, like a Louisville, like a NC State, and come out with the win? Because obviously those teams were going to be gunning for us, because we beat them last year, and a lot of those teams really they had a lot of animosity towards us. So to have that experience going into big time hostile environments, playing in the big time night games, everybody's watching, and for us to come out with victories is huge for us, man. Especially for not just for the guys that play a whole lot, but for the guys who don't get as much playing times, but who for the places that do be in are very, very crucial, because I know when they go in, they're not going to be focused. Not going to be nervous or scared to go out there and put on a great performance. So that's really huge for us. I feel like now that we've had that experience, this game won't be too big for anybody on our team that gets an opportunity to play. Definitely.
Tom, you mentioned that you're not really that much into rivalries, but a couple of years ago you said you were standing and there's Ferrell.
Yeah.
What are you thinking and witnessing?
It was just like, dang, man, like it's really like that, you know what I mean? Because you see the stuff on TV, but when you actually get the a chance to experience it and see like fans like really like, just go out there and actually like be that mad and throw stuff at you, and it's a close game, like your team is playing well and stuff like that. But that's sports for you, people kind of take things to their limit, and I understand that. So, but as far as just a rivalry thing, obviously from a fan perspective, I have my moments where I'm really crazy, but being a player, you can't really let that affect you because too much emotion can really affect the way that you play and the things that you focus on. You don't want that to be the reason why.
How much of a laugh did you get out of it when you had to explain to coach what the fans were doing?
I didn't have to explain. I was dying laughing. I ain't gonna lie to you. It was hilarious because it was just like, dang, like he was smiling so extra hard, and then he don't even know. Like the kid is like, yeah, like we beat you like 5. Like it was, and I was. A lot of us was in there laughing because that was really funny. But then when you see like when he found out and somebody told him like what that meant, he was just like so mad and just like kind of just like, dad, like I didn't know like people really do that. You know what I mean? But it's all last now. It's nothing that we really think about and stuff like that. It was just something like, okay, well, hopefully that's a little bit of motivation for y'all to go out there and put on a good show last year.
How much was Bentley running added dimension to their offense? He had a touchdown like in the last 4 games.
He's huge, man. He's a vocal leader for them. That's one of the things I remember for them last year, man. Even though they didn't play their best game last year, I remember just seeing him, try to get those guys to rally behind him and just trying to keep everybody on their team encouraged, because he's not just the quarterback. He's a vocal leader for that team, and he's a guy that everybody looks to for like just to get a boost and get some